Environment and Community Development. Those in favor? The ayes have it. There are two others that were not had as yet. The 200. Which member? No. The member from East Central, St. Andrew. Yes, at this time, he has asked this question before. And what you said, ask all the questions you have. No. Yours was not answered? Hold on. You say yours was not answered? All right.
Okay, I will answer that.
Answer his question, if it was asked.
There are a number of legislative matters involving the ministry that will be dealt with in this financial year, Mr. Chairman. So we have started consultations already. So I want to assure the member that that is high on the priority list as it relates to our legislative agenda for this financial year.
All right. Ed 7 to 200, pages 1 to 16. Those in favor? Ayes have it. Ministers, thank you and staff very much. There are two other headings that were not taken earlier on. 5300 038, Office of the Registrar of the Company. Those in favor? Ed 7200, Minister of Local no.
Ready?
And I put on my glasses to look like Member Crawford.
Rastaman.
I'm going to get you a pink one like mine. Oh, go.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, being that our colleagues are in haste, I will start quickly at 4100, but I also ask the Minister to help with saving time with the length of the responses. I hope you are in agreement with that. 41,013. Disaster preparedness, mitigation, and response. Chairman, we see where there was an allocation in 24-25 for Beryl and 25-26 for Melissa. I presume that was the response. However, I am concerned on the disaster preparedness and mitigation that there's actually zero budget for 26-27. Can the Minister explain why there's no budget for preparedness and mitigation, having had the last two experiences?
All right, thank you very much for that question. And I believe yesterday at the start of the standing finance process, there would have been an amendment done to the big yellow book that we call it, where 18 billion was allocated to the Ministry of Education for that line.
For that line. So,
Yes.
so this was an omission.
It is now there.
Okay, all right, good. No problem. Thank you very much for that. Now we will go to activity 11520, page 41,016. I'll just go with the page number because education is 41,000. So page 16. Information Communication Technology Services. Now, as a part of that, it said that the Tablets in School initiative is a component of that. How many tablets were distributed in 2025 to early childhood, primary, and secondary institutions, respectively?
All right, I'm going to get that number for you, but you can go to your next question. I'll give you that number. We have to just go through the list.
Okay, well, the next question would hopefully be what's the target for distribution in 2026, 2027?
All right, in terms of tablets, and remember that there are two different programs that we have. We have the tablets and we also have the laptops. And there are a couple different elements to the laptop program. So in terms of the tablets in school, I believe it's about 3,000 of them last year. But then there are the laptops. And one of the key things is that we're moving the laptops into the primary schools because we've recognized that a lot of the tablets aren't able to run the programs that we want run from the primary level.
Yes.
So our goal is to get our students to be as digitally literate as early as is possible. So we've actually shifted the target and our strategy away from the use of the tablets and more towards the use of the laptops. And so for primary schools, we have 5,000 laptops that were done last year, or in this financial year that's ending. So it's 5,000, and then we are going to be doing another 4,500 or so.
So, Minister, the policy under the tablets in school was 1 tablet per person. That was the aim. Is it a similar aim for laptops?
Well, not at this time. It is not. It's definitely not 1 per child at this time. That would be obviously a longer term ambition. What we are doing in the schools is providing labs in our schools. And I've been able to go to see many of our schools that, especially the primary schools, it's very lovely to see real labs outfitted with really good laptops. They also have the digital boards in there that they can be even more creative. And we're even going as far as to introduce audiovisual and some of the augmented reality type technology in primary schools, which is very early to start that. And last week, Friday at Manchester High, we were demonstrating some of that augmented reality work where you could actually start to look at how the brain works in a very different way.
Yeah, Minister, we're going to come to some of those as we ask. To if we take a long time for the questions, they'll stop the questions if the answers take a long time. But the tablets in school, how many of our 800 or 700 and something primary schools have these laptops?
It's about 500 of them that have, and then we're going to do another 200 schools this year.
So since it is that you have indicated you have given about 5,000 laptops to 500 schools, are we averaging 10 laptops per school?
Well, the aim is to get to 30.
But at this time, we're averaging 10.
We do it on a rolling basis, so we do the procurements on a rolling basis, but the goal is eventually to get 30 into each school, which is why we're doing the strategy of the lab and not the strategy of a tablet.
Chairman, I don't think I'm getting an answer. I'm asking if the current amount is averaging 10 per school. At current, I understand the aim.
Yeah, remember that it's around 10. Some schools are 20, some are more. So it's an average number I'm giving.
On average, it's an average around 10.
Yeah.
And these are in schools with students over 1,000 in some cases?
Well, I mean, they're different numbers. So you have some schools,
I
some
understand.
primary schools now that have 200 students. So it really
But some have 1,000.
And we even have some with 30.
So we have some with 1,000.
Yeah.
And in that case, the digital exposure that we're looking at is approximately, in some cases, 100 students to 1 laptop at this time, at current.
But remember that you have a lab. And even when we look at prep schools, the prep schools have labs. You look on your timetable, you have your IT time, and then you go to the lab at that time and you work with it. And then in many of these schools, you're able to go in the afternoon during breaks too. They'll accommodate you to use the devices. So what we want to do is to have devices with the most power and also being able to have as many students as possible accessing them, and then obviously also being able to maintain them, because we did have some issues when we did try to roll it out into some schools with loss of the devices, theft of the devices. So we're trying to work within the environment that we're in Jamaica, and what we found at the ministry is that having really good high-powered laptops in a lab setting is the best strategy for us.
So we have moved from aim of one iPad to a person to 100 students to 1
to having 1 lab in each primary school.
We're going further to the smart boards. You indicated in your response that you also have smart boards in school. On average, how much smart boards are in each school?
I can get that number for you.
Approximately? I'll
get that number for you, because some schools, remember, it's a little bit of a different situation in different schools. So you go to some schools and you have some past student associations that have given several of these, and they have many in the school, and even some MPs here I know have given some of these smart boards to our schools. And so we've made sure our goal is to ensure that every school has at least one.
Right.
And in many of the schools, it's multiple that they have.
Chairman, being that we're discussing the government's budget, I'm asking really how much has the government sought to provide? How much smart
Member
boards?
Crawford, she says you don't have the figures here.
800,
but she'll
Chair.
give it to you after.
800,
Number
Chair.
jar.
800.
But I thought you said didn't have it.
Thus far, and remember, we are getting them on a rolling basis. So there are more to come in this financial year, and there will be more next financial year.
All right, so so I'm assuming on average one per school.
At least.
On average, one per school. And Minister, with that headline, it's stable in a class or is in a particular room.
It depends on the school. So I have some schools, for example, that are quite creative. I went to one school in St. Thomas that had the smart board and the technology primarily in a room that was for the students who had literacy and numeracy problems. And the reason they did that was because sometimes the students would feel stigmatized with having to be pulled out and put into a room separate. And so what they did was to give them the best technology. So they always wanted to go to their literacy class and their numeracy class because they had the best technology there. And so that's one way some schools use it. Other schools do it in a different way.
Okay. So with an average of 40 classrooms, you're saying on average 90% of the students at any given time will not have access to a smart board. What about the own your own device program?
That's the bring your own device to school program?
No, there was an announcement of a OYOD, own your own device.
That was during COVID. I'm not in COVID anymore.
Right. So vouchers were given for students to purchase their own device. That program has been discontinued?
Yes.
Okay. Activity 12.829, page
Give me the page
16.
quickly.
We have the hope. I will skip that one in the thing of time. We'll get back to that at another time. Page 16, technical vocational education. Do you have an estimate, Minister, of the shortage of TVET instructors across the system? And I'm asking in particular, what budget strategies do we have if that shortage exists to recruit and retain those TVET teachers?
As far as I know, there are TVET teachers in all the schools, and all of the positions are funded, and the teachers are there. And also we have even gone further with TVET scholarships that we're using to encourage young people to go into the TVET area, because we recognize that this really is the future. Any country in the world that is looking at surviving, especially during the age of AI, TVET is absolutely central to that. And so we're putting our money there in terms of scholarships and incentivizing young people to go there.
So the answer is no, we don't have a shortage?
I know of no shortage.
You don't have no shortage. You expounded upon the importance of TVET. A program was announced by the very, very Honorable Minister of Finance from Ty Dixon called the Primary School, TVET in Primary School program. Is that program still on, and what is the budget allocation for that?
Yes, that's the project-based learning that we do. It's a program we have, and it is executed in grades 4 to 6.
And this is in how many schools at current?
It should be all of them. All of them should be.
So TVET in primary schools is in all schools?
From grades 4 to 6, and it's called project-based learning, and it's a part of the curriculum. So the NSC curriculum, it's embedded in there.
All right, activity 12.836, we see guidance counseling services for 203 million. Is this the guidance counselors in all schools, or is this a centralized unit for guidance and counseling?
That's in the ministry.
So that's a centralized unit for guidance and counseling. Now, in addition, what's the number of counselors, however, that we have in schools, or the ratio?
About 1,000, a little bit over 1,000.
A little bit over 1,000. Mm-hmm. And in schools, how many students do we have those servicing?
It would be all students in all of our schools would have access.
About 420,000?
No, man, it's not that. Let me tell you how many students we have. We have 372, 293.
In primary and secondary school?
Correct.
So you have 372,000. So you have a current ratio of 1 to 370 students.
Yes, I think you need to look at global averages.
It's actually 1 to 250.
No.
Yes, but we can always debate
Yeah, we
that.
can always
Right.
debate that.
Yes. All right. Scholarships and awards. That is page 17.
All right, go ahead.
For scholarships and awards, we see where the allocation declines from approximately 5 billion to 4.4 billion. Is this because of a reduction in need or an expected reduction in matriculation?
All right, so what we've done really is our reallocation within that same line. So if you go further down, hold on. So you saw the Student Financial Assistance Program.
The Students Financial Assistance Program, yes.
Yes, so that one would have increased in terms of the...
Actually, no, Minister, unless my glasses isn't working, that one was 194 in the approved estimates, and it's 194.
No, we're talking about increase over time. So
No, we're talking about last year compared to this year, Minister. Last year, the scholarships and awards was 5 billion, 5.1 billion. It reduced this year to 4.4 billion. Last year, the financial assistance to students was 194 million, and it remained at 194 million. So that would not have been a reallocation.
I'm going to give you that one because I know I got a note on this one where it had been reallocated. So I'll just look back and get it to you.
All right, I would be happy to get that one. Early childhood education.
Sure.
That is 19. Minister, this header under pre-primary education could be quite misleading, as most of us would not have estimated that pre-primary education would have included grades 1 to 3 in the allocations. It reads here that the institutions involved are daycare centers, brain builder centers, basic schools, infant departments, grades 1 to 3, community-based sponsoring bodies, etc., etc. So would this budget include the cost for teachers, etc., in the primary school components for grades 1 to 3?
In terms of definitions, globally, the definition of early childhood is now 0 to 8. And so that's the reason why in our programming, and it's when I first went to the ministry, I was like, it should be 0 to 5. Primary should not be in the early childhood, but the international definition standard is that it goes up to 0 to 8. And so in our budget, the allocations for grades 1 to 3 would be contained in there.
Right. I understand the global realities, but the cultural expectation might have assumed that early childhood was getting 7 billion, not recognizing that the primary school component of grades 1 to 3.
Right, and this is a good opportunity. I'm glad you raised it because it's an opportunity for us to have Jamaica understand.
Okay, so outside of those in grades 1 to 3, would you be able to tell us what the actual budget for the basic school components are?
You want me to break that element out?
Right.
Okay, I can get that.
I'd be happy to see that. But in the meantime, can you tell us how many early childhood institutions currently operate in Jamaica, not including grades 1 to 3? We're really talking about the cultural understanding of under 6 years old.
All right, ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's 2004-23 in terms of the pure budget to early childhood. And there are other little pieces from other parts of the budget. We allocate about 9 billion to what you're speaking to, which is the ECC. So you're speaking of those in the basic school level.
Yes.
So that would be your infant department and so on. It's around 9 billion. I had asked that question, so I got a preliminary breakout of it.
Minister, I'm confused because the full line for early childhood included 1 to 3 is 7 billion. So a subset of 7 billion is 9 billion?
Yes. So remember that there's also maintenance. There are maintenance lines where we have to maintain the schools. And then also, in addition to my 9 billion, I'm also including the salary that we take up at the ministry for the early childhood institutions.
Minister, I don't want to delay my colleagues. However, I'm speaking specifically to this line here, which speaks to program and activities where pre-primary education direction, rehabilitation and works, private education support, delivery, all added up to 7 billion. So
Yes,
it
and remember-
includes rehabilitation and works.
But remember, it does say in the notes that
Yes.
this relates to the Early Childhood Commission. What I'm noting is that the ministry also carries other pieces of the budget that are not through the Early Childhood Commission. So there are teachers that are on the establishment that we pay for in central ministry that would not be reflected in that line, which is for ECC.
Well, this particular area is not for ECC, but when I get to ECC, I will speak
But it
to it.
says so in terms of where you pointed, the notes are ECC related.
Where did I point, Minister? Can you remind me?
Where is it? 10,005. I thought that's where you were.
No,
10,005?
I'm at
Where are you?
page 19,
I'm at 19.
41,019. Pre-primary education, that is, so 10,005 direction and admission. That's the first table, program.
That's where I am.
Right, and the total there is 7 billion.
Right, which is why it says the funds provided will facilitate the administration and operations of infant schools.
No, you're at the wrong area, Minister.
Where are you at then?
I am above that.
19.
Pre-primary education
Oh,
is concerned.
okay.
Yes,
Okay. All right. I see where you are.
right. Because if you were to go to where you're reading 1005, where it said the funds provided, that is actually only 3 billion, not 9 billion.
Correct.
And it's 3 billion of the 7 billion.
Correct.
So therefore, to this point, I'm trying to figure out where the 9 billion exists.
All right. So if you look at the ECC budget,
Yes?
there is ECC,
Yes, I'll get to that soon.
right? And then you have to look at the agency budget, and then you also look at the fact that in the ministry, embedded in the ministry,
Yes.
in our line for teachers,
Yes?
there is a cohort of teachers
All right.
that is for ECC. And so when I give you 9 billion
Yes.
in the ministry, I have to get numbers that I can work with. So in terms of directing strategy. And so for me, my request of finance was, can you give me the total amount
Yes.
that we would give to what we would traditionally think of early childhood, not going by the definition that we have in the book,
Okay.
but generally going by early childhood.
So the book would be misleading at this point.
You know what? It's the way it's been defined for some
All right.
time, but
No
you have
problem.
to obviously be able to interpret the numbers in there.
I understand. All right. I would hope to get that from you soon so
Sure.
I can analyze.
Sure, man, I have it broken out.
So you indicated 2,400 institutions.
Yes, correct.
All right. Can you instruct us how many are registered, how many are licensed to operate, and how many are certified?
Coming. I know it's over 300 that are certified. And I know your next question, that rate sounds low, but we're going to be doing 95, I think it's about 90-something% are registered.
So 90-something% are
Yeah.
registered. And what
Yeah.
about licensed to operate? How many have a current license to operate?
Once they're registered, they're licensed to operate.
Actually, all right, I won't delay. But on the certification?
The certification, 300.
So of the 2,440 schools, only 300 are certified currently.
Correct? Fully certified.
Yes. Well, we don't have a semi-certified, do we?
Yeah,
Do we have a semi-certified?
we do.
No.
We do.
No, that's registered. But allow me. What's the total enrollment in this early childhood sector as we understand it under 6?
About 100,000.
About 100,000.
Yeah.
And being that those that are registered must indicate the teachers and their qualifications, how many bachelors of education teachers do we have in the system?
Oh, that's an interesting question, and I'm glad you raised it.
I'm glad
Because
you
this
answered.
also gives you some of the texture to what we're doing in early childhood education. So a lot of our basic schools, as everybody knows, are operated privately. There are many really great people in our communities across Jamaica that operate these. And what we have done as government in understanding the importance of the early years is to provide every early childhood institution with at least one trained teacher. And so we pay that salary.
A bachelor's of education trained teacher, or are you speaking to the Heart Trust level 2 teacher?
No, not hard.
So you
Not
are
hard.
indicating that we have 2,000 trained teachers in the system,
Yes.
paid by the government?
There are 108 schools that do not have, 108 basic schools
Yes.
who do not have a trained teacher. And by September 2026, all basic schools in Jamaica will have a trained teacher.
Minister, you sure you don't want to check that information?
I can send you the information after this, but we have gotten it directly from the ECC. The director is here. She can speak to you after in terms of the audit.
Or maybe she can advise you now, Minister, because I know, for example, that in St. Catherine,
got that
the
data
numbers
today.
are way less. I'll
I
get
got that data today.
So you'll send me that report. All right,
share that
thank
with you.
All right, Minister, are you aware of the Charter of Fundamental Rights, Section 13(3)(k), and I'll love for the attention of Member Malahoo Fort. But subsection 2K1 indicates that it is the right of every child to free education in a government institution at the primary and the pre-primary level. Does this current budget satisfy that?
I believe it does. And let me tell you why I believe it does. Because we are working with all of our primary schools, all our infant departments, and we're also working with our basic schools in order to ensure that there is quality education there. These are private institutions that the government of Jamaica has put in money, and it's not just paying for a trained teacher so that we can increase the quality. It has also been assisting with maintenance, training of those persons in those institutions. And many of those private institutions aren't May's basic school.
Yes.
Many of those institutions, we even provide support for the caregivers that are there through a stipend.
So
we're doing a lot, and we're not stopping there. So in terms of infant departments, we are building more infant departments that are attached to our primary schools. And we have more brain builder centers that we're building every year. So each year we're continuing to build out the number of institutions.
So, Minister, can you answer this for me, please? How many students are in a government institution at the basic school level?
I'd have to go look. I know there are
This infant department or...
There are around 500.
Right.
If I add up the infant schools and the brain builder centers.
Yes.
Looking at it. So that adds up to, 22,566 in the public. And then we also have the basic schools, which is about 52,000.
And of the 2,400 schools, how many of those are government owned?
I think it's about 500. Yeah, it's a little bit over 500. I'll get the right number for you.
So, Minister, having indicated that you have less than 22% of our student population, you're saying that the right to a publicly funded in a publicly institution is being achieved?
Yeah, but remember,
it is the right of every child of a Jamaican citizenship to a publicly funded institution in a publicly owned and publicly funded institution at the primary and pre-primary level.
We have.
Member.
The number speaks for itself. I'll move on.
Yes, but can you tell me when, what year, what time have we achieved that before now?
Chairman, that I'm not taking.
No. You're budget minister.
All right.
You can't do what else. I'm in charge right now.
Next. Fine.
I'm in charge right now.
I will go to page
right He's going on the wrong road.
20. Page 20. Page 20. We're just trying to know if the Constitution is being satisfied. That's all I am trying to understand. Page 20.
Page 20.
Page 20, recognize basic schools and path program. It says here, page 20, this activity supports administration operation of recognized basic schools. Can you indicate to me what it's meant by recognized basic school?
Registered.
So those are registered basic
with
schools.
the ECC, and remember that's over 90%, around 95% of all basic schools are registered.
Okay, so in that case, it is the aim, therefore, based on this particular budget line, that you're providing meals for 70% of all students in the registered basic schools?
Correct.
What is the estimated average daily subvention? I mean, what the numbers we are giving?
I think it's,
Oh,
yeah, I'll
right,
give you that
cool.
number. I'll give you that number. I'll get that number for you. But remember also, again, just reminding everyone here that this is being provided to private entities, that we are making sure that whether or not you're in a government institution or you're in a private institution, that you should not be going hungry.
Well,
And so if we look here at $347,000, 347 million total that's provided for cooked meals.
right, I was asking if you had you have the
ECI.
the estimate of the daily amount, but you don't
No,
you don't have that
I
right
don't have
now.
that. I don't have that.
All right. 347 million. No, not yet. I'm not going to delay you today, right? Because that 3,400 divided by 190 is not going to look good. But we'll come back to that at another time. Primary education, Minister, page 21.
21? All right. I'm there.
All right, primary education. Now, Minister, as a part of your opening, you indicated how important it is for the performance to be happening. And you would have known that in the last PEP results, 12,300 students didn't achieve basic proficiency in math, and about 10,300 didn't achieve basic proficiency in English language. What is the budget allocation for remedial education, understanding this failing?
I'm not sure if there's a specific line, but what we allocate from the training and resources budget is about $300 million.
And there's no specific line for $300 million?
No, because remember, if you look at some of our big numbers here, you're seeing numbers like $54 billion across primary. And so, there's a resource line for books too, that we actually do allocate some from for primary schools. And I can show you.
Yeah, I'll go through to it, Minister. But
All right.
it is unfortunate that something so important and a large budget of 300 million wasn't represented. Having gone over the last 5 years of the PEP results, our primary schools currently have 84,000 children doing, our high schools have 84,000 children from forms 7 to 11 that didn't achieve basic proficiency in mathematics. I would presume that would be a line item. But we move to, how would the minister define?
Just note, remember that if you go to the bottom of page 29, it breaks out a lot of that, but we can continue.
29. All right, I will go to page 29 soon. I am the spokesman, actually. You're so uninformed. Minister, is there a shortage in literacy, numeracy teachers?
No, I've not seen anything come to the ministry in terms of any kind of issues there.
Okay, page 22.
Page 22.
Having not had a line item for 300 million, there's a line item here for a pilot program for science technology in schools for 10 million. That line item for 20 schools. Can you tell me what is that expected to achieve?
It's a pilot program, and as it said there, it said the activity supports the piloting of STEM. And so what we're doing is one of the things, and thank you for asking that question, because one of the things I found, and I'm very open with what works and what's not working. One of the things I found in the ministry that has not worked is us thinking up programs based on how we feel. And that happens across government in terms of policy making. I think this is what we need to do. And a key thing for me is that we need to pilot the things. Find out that they're working, have the appropriate monitoring and evaluating framework so that you know that this thing is going to work before you spend billions and roll it out.
I'm with you.
It's very important. So this item here is really just a piloting of a project, figuring out if it really works, using it across several different types of school. Maybe it works well in one type, but not another. And so that's really just about piloting. It's a pilot.
Minister, you're schooling me in a concept that I'm not unaware of. What I'm trying to understand is, that's not rude, I'm saying, I'm aware. All right. Chairman, some protection. Minister, what I'm trying to understand is that 10 million for 20 schools, I'm trying to figure out what the 500,000 per school will do. That's what I'm trying to understand. I have no problem with a pilot. But what is this 500,000 expected to do?
So it's teaching material. It is, so for example, with STEM, trying to make the maths come alive. And so having the manipulatives and so on, and teaching the teachers how to use that more effectively. It's also going to be, some of the learnings will go into a broader JET program that we have, which is the Jamaica Education Project, where we're going to be pushing out more technology in the science labs across the country.
Yes.
And so this is really one of those that can help us in understanding how better to roll that program out.
And how long is the pilot expected to last?
I don't know, maybe another 6 months or so.
But Minister, I've seen here where there's an estimate in 27, 28, 28, 29, and 29, 30 for $10 million.
Yes, so you try it in different schools. You keep trying it.
So it's going to pilot.
You continue learning.
But this is worse than American Airlines, Minister. If we're going to do a pilot every year for the next 4 years.
But member.
Yes.
Member.
Yes. I'm listening to the minister. Minister, I'm just doing my job.
I know
you're doing our job. So we're listening to you.
No, but member.
Yes.
Member.
We are here. We're here, Minister. I want to understand why there's an extended pilot which should have ended in 6 months.
Remember, this is our finance team does forward budgeting. It's a forward measure. And we're going to be trying.
Line item 41,022, activity 10774. It's called.
Member Crawford.
Yes.
You can be more concise, you know.
No, I'm trying my best.
Your
answers are way longer than the question.
section of ministry. You are member Burchell up next section. You can't
no
do
worry
that,
yourself,
my brother.
Minister. I think I'm about duty.
Look here, my brother. Look here.
Minister,
I've been very patient with you so far.
No, well, tell me the standing orders that limits
now. I'm in charge.
Chairman.
Hold on, man.
What is the standing order that limits me, Chairman?
Hold on. I can't limit you. No standing order.
No.
Look, we have a lot of work.
There must be a rule upon which
Look
you
here.
act.
Look, my brother. We have all these government workers here. They are yard to go. They are home to go.
But
if we never go.
But
so
we have
please,
children to school, Chairman.
Look, man, I'm saying you have all these civil servants here.
I'm
they
trying
are
my
home
best,
to go.
Chairman. I'm
It's
trying
Friday
my best. Is there
okay?
Is there any particular one that you feel was unnecessary to
I'm saying.
Allow me, Chairman.
Cut you out now. Just finish to my brother. There are other people that need to go home.
Yes.
You have
Chairman,
12 minutes to go. Please.
Thank you, Chairman. Minister, is there any, Minister, I see 20 schools here. I was going to ask you to name them, but I won't delay the proceedings. But Minister, I would really like to know from you, what's the reason why the entire budget seems to be allergic to Northwest St. Catherine? I get no road, no school, no water.
Because I know a good MP. Don't say it.
All right, let's move on.
You can always send me your list of schools.
Let's move on, Minister. Yes. Broadband connectivity.
Where are you? What?
In school. Well, 41,000.
24? 24?
I think it's 24, yes.
All right, okay.
Delivering broadband community in school.
Sure.
Is it possible to indicate, Chairman, Can I have some protection from you, Chairman, please?
You need protection from yourself. You can't campaign for leadership here.
How many?
Hold up, go do that. Campaign for leadership, hold up.
How many?
Protect your own self.
Broadband. Minister, does the investment in broadband, Minister, meet the international standard of approximately 1 megabyte per second per student?
Yes, that's a standard that's used.
And that is a standard that is used?
That's the standard that we are using and that we are monitoring against.
Okay. All right. We will indicate many that have missed that. Special needs.
Sure.
Minister, how many non-government institution receives assistance under special needs item 11520, where you indicated a few schools?
Can you just give me the page, please?
Same 41,024.
Sure. In terms of schools that get this support, I don't remember the number, it's 17 or 19.
17 or 19 schools
Yes.
receive support for special needs. Minister, you would acknowledge that that is quite below what is necessary.
And remember also, these are external schools that we're supporting, but we also have a mainstreaming policy in the Ministry of Education, because we have, if you go to some of our primary schools, you'll actually see maybe 2 or 3 classrooms that have been established for our special needs children. The key thing is, yes, I'm supporting these 17 or 19 schools, but international standard says that mainstreaming is actually better for special needs children. So you want that special needs child to be walking to school with their cousin, going to the same school. They may be going to different classrooms, but you don't want them to feel that they are so different. And so we're doing this now, but the strategy over time is to have more special needs units in the primary schools, especially.
How many diagnostic centers are in operation now, Minister?
5.
5 diagnostic centers.
Yes.
Is there one in Portland up and running?
That one is almost finished, and you would see in the budget there is nothing allocated for it this year because it's almost done.
And the other 2 that evolved since last year?
And the other ones are at teachers' colleges. So we actually have put them into the teachers' colleges.
Okay. So, but Minister, when I consumed your conversation last year, you indicated that there were 2 and you expected 1 more. So did 2 more?
Remember, just a minute.
All the teachers'
You're
colleges.
right to ask for the question
And
you want.
there's Monique.
What, Minister?
It would have been Monique, and
Minister.
if you're talking about, oh, sorry.
You have a right to ask the questions, but you do not have a right to put us through torture. You have a right to ask a question, I have a right to limit you. Okay? I'm not going to go down the road. You're going to, look, you have a right to ask the questions, you don't have a right to torture us. I'm giving you 5 more minutes. Please.
All right, Chairman, no problem. But Chairman, I'm asking too that the answers be curtailed, or is
You
it
hear me?
one-sided?
You hear me?
All right.
The other ministers come.
No
on Friday
problem.
night.
Minister,
I'm 5 minutes. Give your other colleagues a chance
you
to ask
can't tell
questions.
me the standing orders that
I
stand.
can't tell you that. Hold on. I can't tell you that.
Well, Minister, let's go.
What you say? I can't tell you. I can't limit you.
Let's go.
Hold on.
Let's go.
I can't
I'm
limit
not
you.
in a quarrel with you, Chairman. I'm here to do
You say
my
I
work.
can't limit you.
I am here to do my
I'm
work.
asking a question. Now you say I can't limit you. Was that what you said?
No, I didn't say that. You are
All right.
you're supreme and can limit.
You have 5 minutes.
All right. So now that has indicate that you can limit me, can I go ahead, Chair? Thank you. Reclaiming my time, I'd like to know the level of absenteeism that was recorded last year, Minister, as indicated in your opening presentation.
All right, thank you for that question. Absenteeism is a problem across the system. It is not just in the West that we're seeing it in Kingston. I've been looking at those numbers quite a bit. Even Region 1, which is Kingston and St. Andrew, I only have 82% consistent attendance at school. Wow. That is not acceptable at all. And then when you look at Region 6, it's 65%. And when I say absenteeism, what we're looking at is poor attendance. So you come today, don't come tomorrow.
I understand.
And so it is a problem we are facing in this country, and I'm glad you asked the question.
No, Minister,
Because-
we're not haste and you're taking a while.
No, there's certain things that we have a responsibility to do as leaders in this country. And we have to talk to our parents. They're listening.
Yes, but you're going to
They
take my
need to
5
send the
minutes to
children
answer
to
one
school.
question. Huh? How that makes sense? How is it one-sided?
We need a community, all our communities across Jamaica to make sure this happens. And I want to thank the schools for what they're doing in going out in the communities and finding these children. But the communities cannot hide them. We have to send our children to school. You can't see a child in the middle of the day in a fast food establishment and not say something to them.
So what's the rate of absenteeism, Minister?
I have it by region. I can give you every region if you would like. But it's around 15% overall.
It's around 15%.
15%.
Minister, my information is 22% from your last report. But all right. Minister, what's the absenteeism in the most affected Melissa regions? What's the information for the most affected regions in Melissa? What's their absenteeism level?
I can give you a few. Region 4 is 66%. Region 6 is 65%. One of the things I will say, Chair, if I may, is that if I look at Region 4, for example,
Chairman,
in January it was
Minister.
1,000 and today
Madam
it's only
Minister.
140.
Madam Minister, he asks you what the percentage
Sure.
in each region, you just keep percentage done. Not lead him on. He won't live tonight. Please, just keep percentage
I have
done.
all night.
Minister, as I'm doing my job,
Me and your talk.
No, go back to region numbers. It is important.
not today.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
The 7 regions.
Minister,
It's 6. Yeah,
I
go ahead.
asked for the absenteeism in the most affected regions.
All right, Region 3, 4, and 5. Region 4 is 66%. Region 5 wasn't as high, and so I didn't really, that's not one that I was working on, but I can give you that in a bit.
Okay, Minister, I will close with asking, are they,
Closing already?
well, clearly I'm not allowed to do the job that I was sent here to do. But Minister, the Minister wanted more time, she asked if already. But Minister, are the following boards actually functioning, having been presented to the Cabinet? The Heart Trust NTA Board, the Early Childhood Commission, their board, the Overseas Examination Commission, the University Council of Jamaica, the Council of Community Colleges, and the National Council on Education. Have those boards been submitted to Cabinet and have been approved and functioning?
All of them are in the process, and I'll give you one example. Heart, for example. Heart, you cannot appoint a board for Heart unless FID clears everyone because of the quantum of funds that they oversee. And so I've had to be waiting on the FID to do all of the background checks on all of the members. A couple of the boards that you mentioned are commissions, and they straddle administration.
So they are in or
some
not
of them
in?
One of them, for example, expired last week. And so
Okay.
we are in the process of having all these boards before Cabinet.
Okay. All right. So the answer, therefore, Minister, most of them are not currently functional.
And most of them are, the agencies are functional. There is a way, or we have a standard in terms of how they operate when the board is not in place.
All right. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, member.